Have you ever watched an athlete compete and wondered, how do they always perform when it actually matters? I'm not talking about the athlete that has one great day. I'm talking about the ones that seem to show up every single time once they stay calm under pressure. The ones that somehow find a way to win when everybody starts doubting themselves. For the longest time, I thought it was talent, and maybe they were just born different. But after competing for over 20 years, traveling all over the world, making two Olympic Games, and winning many international medals and sharing training camps and competitions with many high level athletes, I realized I was completely wrong. Talent matters, but talent isn't what separates people when pressure is at its highest. Habits do. And there's this one habit that changed everything for me: discipline. But maybe not the discipline you're thinking about. I think people misunderstand discipline. Going to the gym because you're excited doesn't mean that it's discipline. Training because you're motivated doesn't mean that it's discipline. Discipline begins the moment when you have to do something that you don't want to do, when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're sore, when you're uncomfortable, when every part of you wants to stay in bed and you do it anyway. I'll never forget, there was this one trip. We were going to Aguascalientes, Mexico, and I was so tired. There was jet lag. The heat was different. I was cutting weight. And I remember feeling hungrier than I had ever felt before. And honestly, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to lie down and sleep to make it even easier to skip. My coach wasn't even there. He hadn't even arrived. And so nobody was waiting for me. Nobody was checking in on me to see if I trained. Nobody was going to call me. Nobody was going to see what I was doing. And I could have stayed in my room and nobody would have ever known. And that's exactly why that day mattered. Because discipline isn't what you do when someone's watching. It's doing what you choose to do when nobody is. So I got up. Not because I felt motivated, because I wasn't. Because I was excited, I was not 100%. I got up because I knew something. I knew that if I skipped that session, even though it was one workout, I was changing the way I was going to feel the day on competition day. I knew I wasn't going to have the same sensations. Looking back now, that day wasn't really about fitness. It was about trust. Every time I did something that I didn't feel like doing, I was teaching myself something to keep my promises. And that's something that took me years to understand. People think confidence comes from winning. I don't think that. People think confidence comes from, oh, I could tell myself I could do this. I don't think that's where confidence comes from either. Confidence comes from evidence. Your brain remembers everything. It remembers every promise that you make yourself. It remembers when you said, oh, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow, and you hit snooze. It remembers when you told yourself, I'm going to stretch after practice, and you skipped it. It remembers when you promised yourself to eat better, and then you gave up a few days later. We think those decisions are small, but they're not. Every single decision that you do, you're teaching your brain that I can trust myself. And after years of competing, I realized something. The mornings that started at 4 o'clock, the extra runs before traveling, training and then going to another training session, cutting weight, getting on a plane hungry because I still had to make weight. I'm not saying that everybody has to do exactly what I did, but those were the sacrifices that were demanded in my sport and in my career. My point is this: the medals weren't won on competition day. They were won on the moments that nobody saw, when nobody was clapping, when nobody was filming, and when nobody would have blamed me if I would have skipped. That's where they were won. People ask me all the time, how did you get to 2 Olympic Games? Of course talent played a role, if we talk honestly, but what got me there was always doing something a little more, always going the extra mile, always doing something that I didn't really want to do. But it was like a commitment that I made to myself. I stopped depending on motivation because motivation comes and goes. So mornings you wake up excited, there's other mornings that you don't. If your career depends on motivation, you're going to be inconsistent. Discipline is different. Discipline says, I don't feel like doing this today, but I'm going to do it anyway. And every time you do that, you build trust with yourself. That's discipline. There's something else that I learned that took me years to understand. Discipline isn't about proving something to other people. It's about becoming the type of person that follows through even when no one's watching. That's a completely different mindset. Think about it. If you only train hard when your coach is there, what happens when your coach isn't there? If you only eat well because someone is checking on you, what happens when nobody's checking on you? Eventually, there comes a point where you have to become your own coach. You have to be the person that holds yourself accountable because no one's going to do it and nobody knows how much you want your dream other than you. I used to remind myself all the time, no one's going to wake up for me at 4 in the morning. No one's going to make weight for me. No one's going to do those extra rounds for me. That responsibility was mine. And once I accepted that, everything changed. I stopped looking for motivation. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I just simply focused on doing what needed to be done that day. Some days I did it well. Some days I struggled, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm perfect. There was days that I was very frustrated, that I was exhausted, days that I just couldn't stand it, days that I couldn't even understand what was going on. But that's normal. Every athlete goes through that. The difference is that your emotions don't have to make your decisions. You can feel tired, you can still train. You can feel nervous and still compete. You can doubt yourself. One of the biggest lessons Taekwondo taught me is that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward even when fear is sitting right next to you. And that's something that just doesn't apply to Taekwondo. It applies to life. Whether you're trying to build a business, whether you're trying to finish school, whether you're trying to become a better parent, or if you're trying to chase a dream that nobody else understands. The principle is exactly the same. The small choices you make today become the person you become tomorrow. So don't underestimate those days. Don't underestimate one workout. Don't underestimate one healthy meal or one extra round or one early morning, because success is rarely built in one moment. It's built through hundreds of small decisions that nobody else will see. Get your success and call you talented, but you don't know the truth. It wasn't one decision, it was thousands of them.